Hello everyone and welcome back to more BTS Americas action here. We're in Season 2 of BTS Americas, but there is still $10,000 of prize money up for grabs between 16 teams. We have now narrowed down some of those 16 teams down to the round of 8, where we have continued to truck on forward. Currently, it's Complexity going against Void Boys. We're in game number 2 of a best of 3, where Complexity are up the first match. I'm KotLGuy for Beyond the Summon. I'm going to be joined again remotely from my good buddy Blaze of Blaze Casting. Blaze, game 1, very interesting. Void Boys put together a very team fight heavy lineup. I said we could see some highlight reels, and I think there was a bit of a highlight defense there at the bottom, but ultimately it was Complexity who flexed their very, very farmed muscles and eventually just kind of bullied them into submission, or actually just kind of toyed with them a bit and was like, hey, by the way, your base is dead. So the game 1 ended, and now it's going to be Void Boys fighting back for their lives to take it to game 3.
Yeah, they're going to get the better stuns here with the Lina and the Earthshaker. That was one big aspect of Complexity's team fight, is just starting off with stun after stun after stun. They had a really good chain of initiation, but even still, Complexity gets some really good core heroes out of it. They're going to be able to run the off-lane clockwork that we've seen very impressively done by MJW in the past. Gyrocopter, obviously going to be a very key core hero for them to have, and ZYZY will probably be picking that up. So overall, I have to say this is one of the stronger openers, in particular against the Lina mid. But in this case, what do you think? Are we looking at the versatile Lina that could go either way, or do they have a game plan for it already?
I would hope that they would be more considering it to be in that kind of core position. I mean, you're going against a Gyro, and we saw even in the hands of Way2, I mean, that game is just Complexity all had farm. Eventually, Way2 got his Ags, but even just the Lina Ags alone on this Gyro just phases him out. I mean, it was a quick strike, and then Snaking was gone. So there's got to be some sort of emphasis that this Lina needs to, at some point, get an Ags. And if they trust their capable 4 or 5 position player to be able to get that kind of farm, similar to how Way2 did, then they can go down that road. But more than likely, I think holding Lina as a core position, maybe mid lane, is probably their best bet. There hasn't been a lot of focus around mid laners, though, up to this point. There's still out there a Storm, a Quap, a TA. But Lina, typically on paper, could usually always hold her own.
Definitely. But yeah, where some matchups, Storm is like a first phase pick guaranteed grab. And this one, it's been very understated. Neither team really feels the need to pick it up, just feels like it would work pretty well. For example, with Complexity's lineup, Clockwork, Gyrocopter, you add a Storm on top of that, and you have some really easy ways of getting into the fight.
They banned AM too. They want it, Blaze. They want it. Now, do Void Boys steal it, or pre-build something to counter it here? I mean, there's got to be emphasis on getting some sort of silence. They still have, you know, another support position to potentially work with. I wouldn't go all in. That's a Lina Earthshaker support combo. So if they use one of those extra support grabs to get something, or they're going to steal it.
Yeah, they do. Okay. Because that was, yeah, like you said, with the AM ban, it was very clear that Complexity planned to pick it up as their mid if Void Boys didn't look for it. So this could be a non-scalable core lineup where they go for the Lina and the Storm in the carry and the mid position, or more likely it's going to be the Earthshaker Lina support duo, and we'll see what they can accomplish with that. They do have a different member, by the way. One of their members, Sakala, I think it was. Is
yeah, the Earthshaker.
Yeah, replaced by one of their core team members are like kind of in and out, unofficial member Shanks. So we'll see what he can do in potentially the same role.
I know on the official roster, Shanks is their sub. I say official, like this is the one they submitted for majors, and Shanks is their substitute. But obviously with Patzel, who is also registered on that same list, MIA, Shanks is going to be seeing a lot of playtime more often. But it looked like he must have not been available for game 1. Is back now. Don't have to say the Earthshaker actually played even that bad. There was some great fissure setups. He had a follow-up echo from time to time on top of your Ravage, but now Shanks is in, and he's like more of their, you know, usual player they probably scrim with. We could see Void Boys feel a bit more flexible just having him back and on board. But look at this response from Complexity here. They go with the Keeper of the Light. It does seem, I mean, don't get me wrong, Blaze, I love the hell out of this hero, of course, that goes without saying, but it does feel a bit out of the blue. His Taxi Express service typically best with like your Nagas and PLs. You know, Gyrocopter is one to farm a lot, but he also is one to take fights, so he doesn't really need the KoL to bring him in unless he's just going to save the 100. That's great. But I feel like he could be leading to something else, and it's not like they're getting him for anti-pressure or anti-push. This could very well be something up Complexity's sleeve. It just seems a bit peculiar for a KotL grab 3rd pick.
It is pretty interesting. A little bit vulnerable to the Storm Spirit too, but man does way too love this hero. Way too plays KotL pretty
Yes.
much whenever he gets a chance. Maybe he goes for a little bit of that jungle play that we got to see at the summit, or maybe more lane emphasis. If he gets a couple points in Chakra Magic, he can essentially take away the cooldown of Rocket Barrage. The 3 or 4 points is overkill, but if you get 2 points in Chakra Magic, you can make Rocket Barrage like a 0.5 second cooldown as per its duration. And though you can't stack them, you can just keep on lining it up back to back.
That'd be hilarious. You're right. Way2 has been playing it a lot. And Mana Leak, you can't disregard Mana Leak as well. Even on a Storm Spirit, that could be a real pain.
Against a Spirit Breaker, it's insanely good, actually.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and he's got Blinding Light already. You see him charge in, you just, Blinding Light, that guy's going flying. So, yeah, it's a bit interesting, but still, outside of that, when maybe he doesn't have his level 6, or maybe it's the early laning phase, KotL does hate Spirit Breaker. You don't always get Mana Leak, and when you do an early, it's very small range. So by the time he even gets on Spirit Breaker, unless it's to phase him out of the off lane, so even when he tries to charge away, it would lead to a stun. Other than that, Spirit Breaker should have KotL's number in the early game, but yeah, I agree. Late game, Spirit Breaker's not going to be able to get into a Agnum's ultied big boy kind of a KotL at that point. But overall, Spirit Breaker, outside of that, does it feel like Void Boys are just trying to be a pressuring kind of a lineup and just kind of maybe make the mid laner's life a living hell with this pick?
Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, if you kind of pigeonhole the enemy mid a little bit, but there's still a lot of good heroes that go up against it. The Zeus seems to be the foremost one right now. Just able to lightning bolt the ground whenever the charge comes forward, so he can kind of counter that out. Otherwise, you might see like a blink back from a Queen of Pain or something of that nature. We're gonna see however Complexity just fill out their support role. At least it looks to be that way. We've got Visage, and speaking of short cooldowns, you have a 4-second cooldown Soul Assumption that's very mana dependent, and you might just be able to chakra that up so that really nobody can get involved in your lane. If they do, they're going to be punished extremely heavily.
Now, looking back
5 seconds
through their history of play here, and I was with you on board that Way2 was playing this KotL, but now with Visage up, I want to say he's typically their Visage player. I have actually a match not long ago that they did play here against the High Council of Wizards and Priests, it looks like, and it was a Z-Freak Visage, so Z-Freak is their Visage player. I wasn't sure. I know Way2 to be a big micro player.
It's both, I think, because Way2 actually played Visage 2 days ago, and Z-Freak played it a little bit later than that, so it's... I guess it just comes down to what they feel works the best as far as team synergy.
That's a nice thing to have on your team, so we'll have to see. But for now, they are still missing their Swindle hero, and there's only so many options still out there. Look at that, last ban being the Huskar here from Complexity. Yeah, it's a bit magic heavy. I could certainly see a Huskar having the time of his life, so I feel it's a ban justified.
Yeah, it's very prudent. I mean, of all the like random like 5th picks that you have to be wary of, a Huskar is the one in this case. Like, you're not worried about a Broodmother when you have a Keep of the Light, Gyrocopter on your team, or even a Meepo or anything like that. You're worried about the Huskar in this context, and I think it's smart. I don't think that Void Boys would have gone for it, but it's still the correct ban for Complexity.
5 seconds remaining.
So what do Void Boys go to instead here to replace that what could have been a Huskar? Ember Spirit still out there and available. Spectre is something Void Boys used to love with Pat Soul on the squad. Viper, a disgusting, dirty little Viper. This does nerf down some of their hard-hitting late game a bit, but more emphasis instead on their early game, laning pressure, and overall just laning dominance. What do you think about the Viper grab?
I mean, it has some similar benefits that we would list with the Anti-Mage and the Huskar, but it's one of those heroes that provides that extra magic resistance boost with the corrosive skin. So
yeah,
a corrosive build could go a long way for this Viper, allowing him to stay in the fight for a very long time. And it almost feels like we're casting that elimination mode, the way that we're seeing all these picks that are kind of a blast from the past come into play here. We're looking at a core silencer. It looks like mid silencer for Swindles. Z-Freak and Way2 will be picking up the Keep of the Light and Visage respectively, and this Viper, like you said, it hurts their late game, but as long as he can get to an MKB stage, he should be able to manage pretty much, at least efficiently, against anything we see here.
Yeah, I remember the other day I casted a Complexity match and Swindle pulled out the silencer, and I can't remember who I was with at the time, if it was Fluff or Goody, but they were telling me, like, oh yeah, Swindle runs it now, and I'm like, oh, I guess he got a little bit of that flavor from the Virtus Pro squad, Illidan. You know, the only other real player who loves
they love to tri-lane core their silencer, and I've always admired that. But I think silencer can actually work in 3 different roles. He can be a safe lane carry, he can be a very effective mid, trading 1v1, and he can be a support. as long as you have some particular supports that coincide with it. So one of the more powerful 5th picks in the game, honestly.
And as we get ready to hop into the game, it looks like we will lead in with a little bit of a pause here, folks. It is game number 2 of a best-of-3 series here for BTS Americas. Void Boys taking on Complexity in the round of 8. Winner moves on and will be awaiting their opponent. And their opponent will be the winner of our next upcoming series, which is going to be the High Council of Wizards and Priests as they go against Team Imagine. Some of these names just make me giggle, but they pull out some pretty nice Dota, so can always entertain it along the way. And as earlier, you were casting Cloud9. They're the first team that's going to be making it into the round of 4 or the semifinals. They await their opponent, which is going to be between, I can actually bring up the bracket while we wait for this pause, which as you can see here is going to be between Team Unknown and Team Fire. I want to say that match will be played out tomorrow. But we are getting down to that final phase. It will be a best of 5, and first place will be awarded the $5,000. Third will get, or second will get 3, and then that will leave 1,000 for third place. Did I do my math right? I'm like multitasking here, making sure I'm just casually saying the math correctly. But yeah, so a lot of good money on the line. Who won BTS America's 1? Now it's gonna riddle my mind. Let's see. Do you remember off the chance of your head? Let me see. I think I have the last one right here. It was Root Gaming. Root Gaming at the time. That's right. But that was Root Gaming with like Fluff and TC. And
exactly. Very, very different.
And all them, yeah. That was an entertaining series as well. Oh, one in the bathroom here for Complexity, so it looks like we'll have to wait. But now that the 5-man draft has been done, and obviously it feels like Void Boys have a lineup that I don't want to say can't expire, but just doesn't feel as well-rounded as their last one. More pressure on getting more done to the early, the mid-game. Do you think it's one that they'll be able to do that, Blaze, or do you think Complexity, again, could just kind of have all bases covered?
I think that the Void almost by necessity. Their playstyle is going to be as aggressive as it can be. It's going to be very active, and there's pretty much no time to lose for them. As long as they can keep using their abilities effectively, making the right rotations, making long jumps, catching their opponents off guard, then they're going to be able to prevail through the early mid-game. But one key aspect of this game is going to be vision, and I feel that if the supports of Complexity have the wherewithal to get the wards down and to counter ward and just to get overall control over the map early on, then we're going to see Void Boys struggle to find the kills they need to stay afloat.
The ward and map control starts very early. As you can see, MJW will do the TP to the bottom lane, and it will secure him a nice deep obs here. There was no counter TP here from the side of Void Boys. They're going to waltz in the old-fashioned way, but one thing I'm not seeing here, okay, there it is, on Shanks. He does have a couple of sentries. If he does decide to maybe try to unblock the camp, it's that pesky Radiant side where you have 2 chances to get it. But they do in the casual, spot. If he does put it straight north of the camp, it will not see it. So he might just kind of wait out and see if the camp is blocked and go for it. Maybe straight down below.
It took me this long to be certain of what I was looking at because of what we talked about last game, the role swaps. This is a support Viper.
That is definitely Fly.
He's going to dual lane with the Spearbreaker, I believe, on the top lane.
He's got boots
Viper
first.
Spearbreaker is actually as legit as Spearbreaker Queen of Pain in a dual lane situation. It's all about harassment, all about poking.
Oh, I love it. I like it. I want some more of it. We'll see if they'll be able to kind of out-harass and pinch and poke their way into a dominant position in this lane or not. I'm certain KotL wouldn't be able to hold a candle to that Viper just kind of right-clicking him down. And I'm sure Ziz is going to be much more focused on the CS at hand. So that'll be interesting. They'll definitely need to reach out to Way2 to kind of get up there and help out. I'm curious what kind of implications that could have across the whole game for the side of Complexity. But that is not what you see every day. For now, though, it's just solo Fly blocking out the wave, but we'll have to see.
Interesting. So it looks like there's an intention with Shank's Spirit Breaker that'll be needing him on the bottom lane for a short period of time, and then he intends to charge top and make his emphasis there. For now, Jatova's actually just Fisher blocking and make it so that Fly can get to an easy level 2 or 3. And I do believe they're going to start rotating and emphasizing this lane. Just doesn't seem to be their plan from level 1.
Yeah, I'm sure they're kind of like, wait. The Viper's in the off lane here. What's going on? Does leave the Lina with their matchup against Swindle. And, I don't get to see the Silencer Lina matchup very often here. Swindle just does his usual silencer buildup here going into the W and E, and we'll continue to harass a bit. But once the levels start coming together, I'm curious to see if Omega Opponent are going to find opportunities to open up.
No, I'm not so certain about this. I mean, they're keeping the Earthshaker up top, and he's doing all right, canceling out the Illuminates, but in general, I just don't feel like they're winning any of their lanes.
Yeah,
Lanes are a bit of a disadvantage in the mid, and Swindle's going to keep on pushing that, as we see here. But it just seems like now, without the Spirit Breaker top, they actually don't have a guaranteed win in any of their lanes. They just can kind of mitigate the damage. Way too, though, oversteps a little bit. The Grave Chill is going to be taking some attack speed away from Fly, but in the end, Way too still walks away. And Viper's already hurting from their last exchange. He's been tangoing non-stop, and he still isn't above half HP.
Yeah, and he's even going to eat a rocket for his troubles, so... Looks like Ziz is showing that he's going to get at least a value point into the rocket here. Keep them zoned back as much as possible, but I certainly agree. For a funky throw like this, putting Viper into this position, you're kind of hoping to see something a bit more dominant if this is what their intentions were, because it seems like from the side of Complexity, the lanes they set up was pretty damn obvious from the draft they put here. So Void Boys were hoping to kind of switch things and kind of get the upper hand. It hasn't happened, at least as of yet. They are looking to mid lane, though. KotLGuy waiting with an Invis rune as he clarity's up, does easily have enough now for the fissure here, but little Poner has no more mana, is very weak, and I don't think the two of them alone are going to be able to do enough. So he turns around and he's going to take this right back towards the top lane. There's going to be no assistance from Mr. Poner in the mid.
So we see right now just the Earthshaker not able to make as much of an impact as he wants, and just with the homing missile staying on top of the Viper, they're really not getting anything out of the lane. Soon enough, they're just going to be zoned completely out here. I think they have to rotate Shanks now that he's level 2, and maybe they can try to make a try happen, which is still really difficult to do against a Viper. But I guess it's just about the element of surprise and when they make that movement for now. MJW has this kind of pulling action on lockdown, so it's only going to be a single pull, which, as many know, means that it's just going to push out the wave eventually in favor of MJW.
Yeah, the Spirit Breaker kind of getting stuck to pull duty, and he is getting a bit of solo XP working with the pull camp, but, you know, we were banking on seeing him make more of an impression into this top lane here, so I'm curious how long they're going to have him as this kind of little support before they can actually have Spirit Breaker do Spirit Breaker things. I'm sure it's once they feel more comfortable with this Storm matching up in lane against MJW here, but he is going to be able to still get a lot on this clock work, and we already know the work MJW does with clock. And unless they're able to pressure him, which they kind of inch forward as they think about it. Did Snake put anything into Vortex? No. I don't think they have the lockdown, but they are going to trade some blows here. Battery saw out, and Shanks is like, I don't want any of that. Just walks away.
Yeah, look, the Spirit Breaker is actually one of the like many supports would be. But even still, MJW is getting free experience, and we'll just look at the experience of the per minute of the Earthshaker. Like 18 experience per minute, been off the lane completely. Shanks is only slightly above him at 85, and Fly is 100 experience per minute behind the Clockwork, his counterpart in this game.
Now, they're able to grab an Illusion Rune. They'll take it back top, but it's KotLGuy. He's going to try to get another swing at this mid lane here. Still at level 1. Hoping for some sort of setup here if possible. We look to the vision, and they know it's coming. I mean, they have that ward down. So Earthshaker can hide up there all day, but Swindle will just continue to hang to the lower half of this lane, and there will be no opportunity for the fissure, and he's just going to end up wasting his time.
That Observer ward, pretty clutch here. Sometimes you only look for it like in the middle of the lane or on the other side of the map, and therefore the Earthshaker's position wouldn't be revealed, but in this case, Swindle is well aware. But I still like the fact that he's kind of subtly acting like he isn't in awareness that the Earthshaker's here. Like, he's kind of still keeping the Earthshaker here by staying a little bit forward.
Enticing him, to stay and do nothing. Yeah, stay here. Think you got an opportunity. That way you don't go back to lane and you're just getting nothing.
And now it might be the death of Fly right here. I mean, he's going to get hit by the Grave Chill if he's in range. Oh, that slow Visage, just slightly behind. If Way Too had even like 20 more movement speed, that would have gotten a lot of damage onto the Viper there.
Not going to happen, though. He's conveniently close enough to the tower, and he just somehow slips away. They will commit for the Grave Chill as the wave does come down. Can they charge ahead of him and get off a solo rocket barrage? It doesn't look like it. They'll just step off with a rocket for now. But they are just continuing to show their bit of dominance in this lane, and this offlane Viper not yet up to snuff with what we're at least expecting. And it looks like he's going to build traditionally. Maybe just with the early headdress or something. He holds the ring of regen. But help is back here. The return of Gatovas. It's not the most threatening thing. It's just the Earthshaker who has just finally reached his level 2.
So why do you think that they ran the Spirit Breaker bottom stuff? Actually, we're going to see a charge come through.
They're coming. Lina is also here. They're going to cut right in front of Wave 2. Instant Laguna, instant Dragon Slave, and an instant kill. Ziz could be the next target here. They're moving in. They're going to be able to slow him with the Orb Walk of Fly. Long jump comes in from Snaking all the way in the bottom lane, and they're going to get the kill. The global comes out from Swindle, but the jump had already been made, and the kills are out. That means the Void Boys are going to be striking first and second. They pull ahead now 2-0.
The global just held on to for a very long time there, but unfortunately couldn't do enough to get the gyro out. And of course, the Visage is one of the squishiest heroes in the game before he picks up his passive. No points in the Gravekeeper's Cloak means he has a 10% magical damage resistance. That Laguna Blade might as well have the Ags effect on it. Like, it just destroys him. So, yeah, there's going to be a good rotation, getting some good kills, but do you feel that their laning phase is how they intended it to be, or are they losing out too much in this off lane?
I mean, if they were intending that it was expected to be at least a little bit of a struggle, they had to know what the laning phase was going to be, or at least know what they were going to be going up against with Complexity's draft. It seems a bit too obvious where everyone's going to be ending up. So they probably knew that there probably would have been some pressure, especially for this Viper at the top lane. But I guess they maybe figured that with rotations from this Earthshaker remaining in the dark, they might be able to get a grab on the mid lane and everything would kind of equalize out a bit. Didn't really see much of that happen. The rotations didn't work. Complexity had great wards to counter that. But, you know, when you also ask the question like Spirit Breaker, what's his play into the game? For up until that point, well, they're going to get the grab on Viper in the top lane just to give you an idea how much of a struggle it is. They easily sweep in and they are going to finish him off. But for the Spirit Breaker and what his impact is, you know, it's finally they decide to get him involved, and wouldn't you know it, they're able to get 2 quick kills. So I wonder if they're going to see that and be like, okay, now we can just continue to use the Spirit Breaker and get something done. It looks like for now, though, Blaze, they have him back at bottom lane. They'll farm him up. I don't know if they're planning on getting him to like a fresh level 6 or if he's just here until Snaking returns, but I would not mind seeing more charges.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely more involvement. Right now he's just been polling, he's been getting experience. It seems like he kind of wants to rush out level 6 and try to get it far more so than other support Spirit Breakers that kind of sit on level 2 and 3 for a really long time. And well, that's nice. It's just like, I feel like Complexity just have a lot more to go with, and I still can't get away from this Viper pick. Like, I feel like if they actually intended to run the Lina and the Storm Spirit as core heroes in the safe and mid lane, you might as well go for like a Nyx Assassin off lane or something that can at least do some good return damage to the Gyrocopter, to the Keep It Light. Even the Visage, if he doesn't time his Soul Assumption and attack right, will be destroyed by a good Spike Carapace. So I'm still not sold on the Viper, but oh my, I was about to change my tune if only they could finish off Ziz, but it looks like it's going to take the Storm Spirit on top of that, and even then Snaking's dropping low.
And he might go down, he will go down to the call down. That was the last wind of Ziz, and they're going to be losing more. Gatovas is going to be going down thereafter, making it a 2-for-1 advantage for CoL. Another global will be issued for it. And this was, again, another pretty hefty rotation coming out for Void Boys. This one doesn't prove to be as profitable as the last. And with it, Complexity will be able to kind of even things up a bit.
Yeah.
This time the
and
Spirit
that's
Breaker
with Clockwork blocking himself on a creep with a hook shot when he TP'd in. So it's like, it could have been even like all 3 of them going down if MJRB connected the way he wanted to.
Well, he's not able to get involved. And neither was the Spirit Breaker. They kept with their own thing, and now we're back as Omega Poner at level 8. He looks on. Swindle, they match up on XP, though Swindle has been more just staying in this mid lane. He continues to farm. I can't remember last time in his usual build-up. I want to say he's a pretty greedy silencer and could go for a Midas, but hold on here. Shanks is coming. Swindle is already in a safe spot. He backs up and is not going to be caught out, and that will force a cancel of the charge. And it looks like Shanks will walk back to bottom lane. But any particular item progression you're looking out here for your silencer Swindles here, Blaze?
Yeah, he's definitely going to go for the Hand of Midas, and that's just because getting level 16 is really important on the hero, and obviously he doesn't have easy flash farm. But we're actually going to see a counter initiation that should at least kill the Spirit Breaker, but Omega Poner is going to be throwing some spells out as well.
Yeah, and they got the Laguna in, and they will both go down. Omega Poner's next. Easy Rocket Barrage setup from Ziz means a double kill for him. Complexity get the better of the trade. Snake is going to be forced to use the Invis and walks back towards his mid lane. But suddenly a wild Gyrocopter appeared. How did he get here so fast? Last time I touched base with him, he was top lane. Suddenly he's behind in the river. Well, just
Just
movement
the
from CoL.
TP and very smooth movement from there from Ziz, and that actually nets 4 intelligence to the silencer as well. And oh my gosh, one last word, and a very hesitant ball lightning away from the Storm Spirit. I'm not sure what happened there.
He just got easily ran down. He just figured he'd be able to walk away, but the silence was just too much, and the rocket barrage was more than enough. Complexity just get an easy pick on this Storm. Omega Poner makes his return. Not going to catch, but wanted to dish out what he could with the remaining bits of the fountain regen, so it's understandable, but Complexity will pull back it away. It looks like at least Void Boys will get this deny if the catapult isn't too nasty. There it goes. They'll be able to get that denied, taking away the extra bit of gold from Complexity, but it's looking a little bit like the start from the last game here, Blaze. Complexity in a very comfortable farmed-up position. Bottom lane, though, they are going to make the go on the Z-Freak. He immediately goes into ult, and that gets the blinding light, so these will not connect. Shanks' bump will, though. Follow-up comes from MJW. Beautiful cogs. Global comes out. Z-Freak will live and even stay around for the leached XP. And they will not get the grab. They lose their Spirit Breaker. Complexity continue to get the best of these little skirmishes. 7-4.
Yeah, that's 2 consecutive failed ganks now, because up top they actually went for a Viper Shaker play, where the enemy just TP'd out after the Fissure. So they missed the kill up top, now they missed the kill down bottom, and meanwhile in mid, Gyrocopter's doing some work. He won't be able to finish off the Viper. He's just going to flak it down. That might still kill Fly. Oh my.
He's just running through flat cannon shots and just gets dropped, and they think that maybe they'll get a Valiant trade with the help of that, but no. Omega Poner's not going to get the finish on the Ziz. There's the Fissure. Dragon Slave's going to be too short. It just feels like Void Boys can't seem to catch a break now. Every time they make a go, they slip away, they TP out. And again, they try to turn around that time, and they end up not getting it.
Top tower is under attack.
Yeah, it just seems like the draft from Void Boys didn't really take all the factors into consideration here. They really had an idea of what might work, but it didn't pan out. They have a really interesting way of looking at dual lanes. Like they were still running like Tusk Techies last week and stuff like that, but it's just a different mentality that can work, I'm sure. But in this case, it looks like it's just being completely outperformed by Complexity. Right now we got Swindle finishing the Midas at only 13 minutes on top of Null Tally, Magic Wand, and Power Treads. And this is him just being involved in a couple of fights.
Look like they're thinking about a go here on the Snake King in the bottom. But for now it's just more getting this tier 1. They break down. Oh, they see him. With the help of the rocket, a new rocket will come out. It's going to bop Snake King. Quickly they move in. Quick rocket barrage. Can they take him out fast? They do. And Fly comes into his own demise. It's going to be a quick 2-man drop again. Oh, if they wanted assistance, they needed to come a lot sooner. Even Gatovas barely edges away from the hook shot. He runs away to his safety here. Void Boys.
Oh, and they're going to catch him with the ward.
Oh,
Easy.
He walks around the corner
here with the
there
Grave
it is.
Chill and the last word.
He's going to go down really low.
Oh,
they might not be able
the
to follow
Fog
up.
of War, though, they couldn't get the last Soul Assumption. They didn't really pursue much further. I guess they were worried about walking into a double Lena stun there, but Mega was on mid, so kind of surprising they didn't at least push that a little bit harder. With the new slow that's on last word, you can really kind of just run people down.
Yep. Fortunately for your Earthshaker, he does slip away, but now you're looking at quickly Complexity accelerating with their net worth advantage right now, going towards that 5K mark at just 14 minutes in, which is a huge boost to have. And all I was talking about during the draft was how Void Boys need to get the most done in this first quarter, first half of gameplay. We're not seeing it here. It's just them continuing to potentially be in trouble. Mikey moves in, needs 9 seconds for the hook. Otherwise, they're not going to be catching the Snake King. He's still on the chase, though. 3 more seconds, 2. Can he get it? Can he get it?
They got the global, too.
He got it. They're going to follow it up. Global's going to be there. Snake King, you're not going anywhere. This is a cage match to the death. And he will get dropped. Swindle shows up conveniently to get the finishing blow, which means more intel for him as he bumps up to 10. Nearly 2K gold saved up for this silencer. This is looking even more lopsided at the start of this game than it did in the last one.
Absolutely, and I mean, this is the Snake King's 4th death. I mean, I would say at least 3 of them were questionable, and now it's just going to start putting you on tilt. If this keeps happening, it's going to get harder and harder for him, not only in terms of game mechanics to come back, but just in terms of your mentality. Like, Storm Spirit, you feel so powerful when you can get a ton of farm on this hero, when you get Snowball, but it's been far from that this game. I mean, he's barely above the clockwork. He's in 4th place here. From a safe lane position.
They might get KotL though. There you go. They do the Nether Strike, the charge bump, one last little poke, and Fly's going to get that one. They really want him to get this mech. That will help a bit. And that means the recipe's online. And normally when you get the mech, it's like, okay, guys, time to get together. Let's go. Take some fights, take some objectives, get back in the game. But, oh, do Complexity just have too much at this point to fight into? And, uh-oh, Gatovas, he's in trouble.
Down.
Yep, call down, last word, Rocket Barrage. Hello, goodbye. No Fissure for you. 12-5 for CoL.
And interestingly enough, Ziz is just going to be going for Sajin Yashi here. More movement speed, just stay on top of him. I mean, phase boots and drums have been doing a lot of work, but he just wants to go pretty much full race car, and he'll be able to get right on top of his opponents. He even finds a nice regen rune to stay on the map. So at this point, yeah, he's not even going to go for a BKB, and he's still going to be extremely offensive, extremely relevant, and this is just going to continue when they get their next global up. I mean, it's going to be a Rod of Atos build from Swindles, which is going to be extremely effective here, and he's gaining a lot of int stacks as well as level momentum.
Yeah, this expiration date on Void Boys, this is that gather point. They are going to smoke up. I don't know if they're planning on maybe utilizing Fly and baiting him out for maybe a good turnaround, but it looks like they will take their attention towards this top lane. Swindle, who's farming here on the side, could get caught. Poner leads in. That's going to be the Yules. Mike. Oh, he misses the hook, so won't stop the combo. Swindle's going to go down. And now they look to MJW, and they're going to get with another strike back into his own cogs. Still Fly on the way. They're even using an Echo, everything they can to keep this machine here, and they will bring him down. All right, a two-man catch, but bottom lane they could lose. Snaking again. Look at this trouble sweeping in. Way too leads in with a Grave Chill, but he's able to long jump away and TP back to safety. So Void Boys end up successful in their smoke movement blaze, and they grab 2 from Complexity, including Swindle, who was at the top of the net worth or near the top. So that gives them a nice little boost in the bounty.
Yeah, and everything that we've been saying about how far behind they are just makes that kill all the sweeter. They're able to get a pretty big swing forward. Obviously, it's still just one step on a road back into action, but it's still really important that they can find those kind of pickups. So there will also be a tier 1 tower following it, so that's the mechanism up for the Viper. Probably get power treads shortly thereafter, and you know, Earthshaker, maybe he'll get just a little bit closer to that Blink Dagger perhaps.
Bottom lane, CoL persistent for this tier 2. Fly rotates in and will be bullied away by a rocket, but they're going to get as much damage in as possible. There's a charge out on way 2. I don't think the follow-up will be there. Complexity don't want to risk it, so they'll step back and away. Backups en route, and they might recall here. I think Complexity are in it.
This might be a free kill. If they can just get the Fissure close enough, then they can just straight up 100-0 Swindles.
They also have the Yules here. Dragon Slave, Laguna, they're saving the Yules. There's the LSA late, and he gets it. No Yules necessary. Nicely timed out there from Void Boys, and they get a back-to-back kill now onto Swindle.
In the meantime, Ziz will be pushing up the mid lane, farming up the enemy jungle, ganking up Fly, putting out pressure pretty much in every other capacity. But it does show that they can't farm by themselves.
Jump.
MJW will get caught in the cogs, trying to turn it with a Viper Strike, but MJW fissured
under
tower.
Not going anywhere, and now comes Spirit Breaker. They're going to take him down. Blast Flies out, call down as well, so they're going to finish off the Spirit Breaker. Snake King thinking about a follow-up. That was a long vortex, but not long enough to hold Ziz there. And now they look to turn around. Rocket Barrage out. Oh, Poner very low. Can't get close enough, though, for the Flat Cannon Earthshaker. Got to get brought down from that long Soul Assumption coming out from way 2. And now makes it a 2-for-2 here. CoL, do they stay hungry for a tier 2? Looks like they'll double back for now. Let's look at the overall recap. Complexity get a little bit as far as net worth and trade, and some XP.
Very close. They might have been able to get one more kill if they just got one more flak shot off earlier. Maybe Vistage's birds got microed immediately, but no matter the case, they're still controlling the entirety of Radiant's Rata farm. So if they can just keep this up in the jungle, keep building themselves up, the Aghanim Scepter is almost there for Z-Freak, and then you pretty much have that unlimited sustainability in pushing and in fighting.
Smoke move again. They really don't like Swindle.
Yeah, and they got a good ward for him too.
Here it comes, and Swindle, this could be 3 times back-to-back. Oh no! Here it comes, Laguna, the charge, the jump, the bump back. Swindle will be brought down and again, Mikey could go with him, but here comes Ziz, right in time. Call down's gonna go, here comes Rocket Barrage. They are gonna be taking down the Snake King, but can they get the grab on the Poner? They certainly will. Ziz is gonna get a double, and Swindle from the grave is like, worth it. 2 for 1, I'll take it, no problem.
Yeah, key thing is conserving the ultimate there. It's really just the existence of it, and the fact it's off cooldown is a pretty big threat. But MJW just got brought down bottom, but the charge is still on him. They know exactly where he is, and they're going to go right for him. They have a mechanism on the Viper, and yeah, they can just keep running him down. I think this might just be a straight-up kill with the Urn of Shadows.
Shanks
he didn't get the Urn off.
Oh, no Urn. Can't get around the trees, and that is going to be the end of it. Meanwhile, Ziz will get the movement catch, it looks like, onto little Gatovas, the Earthshaker, and he'll get a free trip right back to his KotL on this bottom lane. We'll continue pushing forward. Shanks and company nearby. But a nice little easy support catch there for your gyro means that CoL still stand in a very comfortable spot. Let's look. Net worth 5K. XP about the same still. And Swindle, who had been brought down 3 times straight, I'm sure is very anxious to finally put that global to use. But it's not going to be as easy to bring down. He's got his Atos done. And now they're going to head into the pit.
On the plus side, I will say that Omega Poner is rapidly approaching the ability to one-shot Visage. If he finishes this Aghanim Scepter around the time he's level 16, Visage right now is 21 HP below that Laguna level. Obviously, he's going to get a little bit more, but add in a Dragon Slaver or a right-click on top of that, and you're pretty much able to just completely destroy this hero. So I'm actually thinking Way2 might be finding himself a little bit vulnerable. That Gravekeeper's Cloak provides a great amount of armor and magic resist, but pure damage punches right through it, and you're still as squishy as ever. So I could see a lot of value in just making the quick jump that way while holding somebody else in the air.
They get Gatovas in the mid lane, set up from a hook shot of MJW. He fights for his life, dishing out everything he can, and he still will go down. And look at the follow-up. They're going for Shanks. Battery Assault's going to connect.
Standing there.
Bumping him a bit. Maybe not paying it quite enough attention here. TP going to get canceled. He goes for the Nether Strike. Look at this. They're just like, he's out of position. We might be able to get him. Finally, he will charge away over into a bit of a safe spot. Also worthy to note, during that time, Z-Freak was able to grab the Ags on this KotL. It doesn't seem to be daytime now, though. Or is it daytime? Yeah. No, it's nighttime. Hard to tell when sometimes you obviously see everything in this freaking map, but it is nighttime, which means the blast will not heal, but they will come out in a big fury, and he can always put himself in a safe position with it. And when daytime comes, it's only going to get worse. Imagine even better than a mech blasting through your whole team and your whole creep wave. Which, speaking of which, creep wave will be instantly taken care of. His snaking will do his Storm Spirit Fountain jump, and it looks like that might be enough for Complexity just to not continue pressuring this mid lane.
Alright, so that is going to be just a really good amount of pressure from Complexity during this Aegis, but it looks like they don't really actually want to commit to the high ground during this Rosh cycle, because we talked about it at the beginning. The draft does not force them to do anything more than they already are. They'll build up their BKB on the Gyrocopter, get a couple more key items, keep map control in terms of vision constantly, but it's on Void Boys to actually make a play happen, and we'll look for a bottom.
They're moving in. There's the charge out. Can they take down the Gyrocopter? Not with this. Oh. Here comes trouble. Global there, an immediate blast, and Snaking is dead. Shanks on the run here, but look what's happening up and above. Gatova is trading up with MJW. Laguna's going to help get the Clockwork down, but they lose the Earthshaker. Now they move in. Big blast connection. Fly can be caught in the middle and easily taken apart. 3 down all day for the side of Void Boys. Complexity lose the 1. Even Spirit Breaker's like, I gotta go into a different game to get away from this. Charges all the way up to the top lane. A rocket's still coming. I'll have to wait for that just to TP. But here comes Complexity now, Blaze. Down this mid lane. Looking to close this series out 2-0 in their favor.
Viper with the comeback Midas. Gonna buy back immediately after, so maybe not getting much value out of that. They're gonna try to hold the high ground here. They have Echo Slam going at 8 seconds, but trying to position against this is a bit ludicrous with the fact that he doesn't have anything. Ziz might lose the Aegis at the very least, but I think he's happy to do that.
Well, now the heals start coming out as it's turning to daytime. Now tier 3 will go down. Snake gets the pull on the way to here. They trade up a bit. Dragon Slave to follow, but there's going to be the shrug off from the mech. Now they got Snay, and he's going to go down. Out for nearly a minute. No buyback for your Storm Spirit. Looks like Complexity are going to be able to secure the set of racks. The game could come possibly thereafter. Complexity just easily being able to play their kind of game here against Void Boys in both matches.
Yeah, extreme sustainability now is what they have to offer. Look at the Illuminate just passing right through, doing max healing. Obviously, tons of mana supplied by the Keeper of Light along with health. And the Sounds just went back for a mechanism. He's like, okay, got my bread and butter. The Midas treads Atos. let's go ahead and make sure everybody can stay alive. And with that, they're in a position just to continue to march through each tower and right to the racks without Roche even a factor.
Void boys frantically trying to relieve the pressure from these lanes while Complexity are working with the other side. They push out mid, but as they sweep over, quick Atos, quick kill. Fly is out. No buyback. Committed to the Midas, and then a buyback thereafter. Uh-oh, not good, Blaze. So was the Viper everything we were hoping for? I don't think so.
I think the Viper picked pretty much won Void Boys the game. They really were able to do so much with it, and it's been a rough ride for Fly. He obviously had a pretty good game plan with it, but it didn't come to fruition at all this game.
Well, unfortunately, it looks like they will have to watch as the bitter end comes here as Complexity move in. No, MJW not going to be able to get the hook onto Snake King. He'll eat the Atos. Ziz still with that Aegis, happy to just put himself out on the front lines here. Trying to draw the attention his way. Oh, easy heal up comes out from the back lines of Z-Freak, and now the BKB is going to be popped, and here comes Ziz moving in. Call down a bit behind here, can almost get Poner, but they will make it back into the fountain. Here comes the jump from Snake King, looking to go for MJW, the non-Aegis target, and that's going to be the global. Now Fly going to be caught out here. He will go down. He just got back too. Little Viper going to be put right back into his grave. And that means Complexity can turn back. They get the one shot though, finishing off MJW with a cheeky little Laguna. Now Z-Freak moves in. There's going to be a blinding light, so Snake King doing very minimal damage onto Swindle. They go at it though, both of them. And he'll be able to step back and away. I always get excited to see when Swindle and Snake King actually go toe-to-toe, but it looks like overall it is going to be Swindle as the winner. Game's going to be called, and it's going to be Complexity who take this series, Blaze, 2-0.
Swindle versus Snake King, the Silencer versus the Silent Sea. It's not been pretty for the Storm, and yeah, Complexity really deserved this win, and I can't wait to see what they bring to the semifinals against Root.
Be very, very interesting.
Or against Cloud9, sorry.
Yeah, actually, they will not be playing Cloud9. Cloud9 will still await their opponent, but you are right that they are going to be moving into the round of 4. I'm bringing up the bracket right now, but their next opponent will be the winner of our next upcoming series, whether it be the Highest Council of Wizards and Priests or the Team of Imagine Boys, formerly known as Team Leviathan. We'll be actually finding out our answer just in a little while, but any last thoughts as far as this game goes? It just felt like, unfortunately, Void Boys, we know they continue to struggle with getting their original roster together, and obviously they do continue to struggle just a little bit with maybe getting their drafts in sync. Overall, just didn't seem to work out for them.
Yeah, obviously, if they get Patzl back up and running with them, that should definitely help, but I think a big thing comes down to draft research. Planning it out in advance, scrimming a lot, and just really focusing on where the clear high priority picks are in a draft, because Complexity were spot on this game, and it felt like Void Boys kind of didn't know exactly what to do with it, especially that off lane. Yeah, it really comes down to knowing how the matchups work out, and to just practice drafting and research drafting. There are so many teams that study for hours on end, and the ones that don't, it seems more visible.
Yeah, I can't agree anymore. So with that, folks, we are going to have a little bit of a break because this series was a 2-0 shutout, and we allow time for a full best of 3. Our next series will not be starting up for about another hour. It's 5 p.m. Pacific. That's local time for me right now, and our next series is set to start at 6. So you have 1 hour to go out, snack, play your own game, play a custom, play a spin TD, whatever the hell you want to do, but be back here for more BTS America's action, where you're going to be seeing the Highest Council of Wizards and Priests take on Team Imagine right here, right now. It's Complexity, or what am I talking about? It's KotLGuy from Beyond the Summit. I'm with Blaze again. Show us some love on our Twitters, but we'll see you in an hour's time for our next series.